Hello friends, hope you are good. Today we are going to discuss about why most of the senior developers are getting failed in their Java interviews. What are the reasons behind their failures? Sometimes they are aware of the answers, but still they could not able to present or showcase their knowledge during the interview so that they will able to produce a good impression in the interviewer's mind. We need to also understand what are the expectation of the interview for every specific question asked during interview. That is also we need to understand. We need to discuss this thing before replying to the question, before replying to the question that the interviewer had asked. So this is we are going to discuss in this video. Through this, I want to share my experience with you that I have got after taking almost 500 plus interviews on different platforms. Okay, let's discuss about the agenda. So in this video, I wanted to set the expectation what we are going to cover in this video. What are the common failure patterns of the interviews that could not able to create a good impression in the interviewer's mind? What interviewers expect and how to fix those gaps. So we in the first we will figure it out what are the failures, what are the failure patterns that generally in a Java and backend interviews we are following, we are repeatedly doing, and because of that there is a thinking and a communication gap created. In the second, what interviews expect will explain what interviews actually expect at the senior and lead levels beyond correct answer and tool knowledge. And finally, we will cover the gap. I will share the practical ways to bridge this gap, how to change the way you answer, not just what you study. Because you are applying for the senior level position where the expectations are high compared to the junior or mid level positions. Let's move to the other slide. Next slide. Generally, we have a feeling that a person have a 10 years of experience or 12 years of experience, then they also have a good knowledge. That's not true. Generally, we are doing a repeated task, so years are increased, but could not able to gain required knowledge for a particular framework or the things because we are repeatedly doing the same tasks on daily basis. So we need to understand that thing. Uh, until we are not getting answered with the why queries, we could not get the good experience or better experience with the with things on which we are daily performing our duties. I have seen candidates with 10 to 12 years of experience fail interviews, while others with 5 or 6 years clear them. That's because interviews are not a validation of tenures. Second, interview tests clarity of thinking. So in the interviews, we generally interviews generally check about what how you are breaking the problem, how you explain the trade-off, how you structure your answer. These are the things on which interviewers generally have the focus. Not just what are the frameworks that you had used, how many years you had spent on those frameworks. That is not the basis of checking the technicality of interview. Third is not just a tool uses. Most seniors candidate focus on goals, the Spring Boot, Kafka, Redis, Kubernetes, but interview are listening for reasoning. Why are you choosing those particular frameworks? What would you change? What could go wrong? On these things generally have the focus for the senior level positions. So this gap between real world experience and interview expectation is where many strong engineers struggle. Okay, let's discuss those failure patterns. A reason behind is surface level knowledge. They know APIs, they know how to use a particular API. They are doing setter getter, they are using different APIs, either put get or these all APIs they are aware of, but they are not aware about the internals. They know hash map, concurrent hash map, completable features, string annotations. But when we ask how it actually works inside, the explanation becomes vague. We should be clear on those sides. Second, cannot explain JVM internals concurrency. This becomes very visible with JVM internals or concurrency. For example, if a candidate say GC claims memory but cannot explain what triggered GC, what paused the application, how different collectors behave. These are the expectations from the senior developer. They should be aware about why the things are working. They struggle with the why questions. Yeah, that's the third point. The real issues appears when interviewers start asking why. Why concurrent map instead of hash map with synchronization? Why this GC for low latency systems? Why optimistic locking here? So these are the questions generally comes with why, and interviewee could not able to answer them. Then it will not able to create a good impression. Yeah, let's move to the second reason. Second reason is overconfidence. So generally, senior interviews have a understanding about that. This is a very usual thing. This is a very genuine thing. Interview definitely aware of that thing. So I should not discuss that thing. So this is the second major reason senior general engineers fail interview. That's the overconfidence. I'm not saying it's a arrogance, but the assumption that this is very obvious. They could not explain the basics because of experience. Many candidates jump directly to the final answer. They skip the intermediate thinking. They as assumption, trade-off, constant. They just skip those. In interviews, it very much matters how you arrive to the answer instead of what answer you had given. So second, assume things are obvious. Candidate generally often say that this is standard, everyone knows this, it is straightforward. But interviews are not about what obvious to you. They are about making your thinking explicit. When you assume context, the interviewer is left guessing. Lacks structured delivery. This leads to unstructured explanations. Concepts are mixed together. Like I asked about JVM internals, they just tell about what is JVM, what is GC, threading, perform all in one flow. They could not come up with a structured answer. Every correct answer required a structured answering that is missing in most of the scenarios. One thing I wanted to tell here is structure creates the confidence, not speed. Strong candidates slow down, explain assumptions, and structure answers clearly. Senior engineers don't fail because they don't know the answer. They fail because they skip explaining it. You need to take care of this thing. Let's move to the next slide. Reason three for the failures is unstructured communication. This is the also one of the reason interviewer could not get the better understanding about the candidate. That is unstructured communication. Even when they know the topic well, their explanations feel scattered. Point one is no problem framing. Many candidates start answering without framing the problem. They don't clarify what exactly is being asked, what assumption they are making, or what scope they are covering. As an interviewer, this creates confusion right from the start. How to handle that? If you don't frame the problem, the interviewer frame it for you and often incorrectly. You need to take care of things. You need to speak aloud what is you are thinking, that is you think aloud, and accordingly discuss the problem statement, get the clarity done on the hidden things, and then come up with your approach. Second is jump straight into details. Generally, candidate immediately jump into the implementation details. For example, code syntax, API, configuration, but they skip the high level approach and decision logic. They just come up with their approach directly because they are aware of that and they could not able to structurize their answers. That's why it will not able to create a good impression in the interviewer's mind. And last is no summary. Generally, it's a thing candidate doesn't focus on those because he thinks that she thinks that they had answered that, so there is no need of come up with a summary of what explanation they had given. They think that time's running out, so there is no need of providing a summary. But from the candidate perspective, we should always give out the summary for the answers. If you had discussed something for 4 to 5 minutes, it's better to give your summary that I had just come up with this approach, this solution, and this is the summary from my side. So that's the way a candidate should present themselves. Without a summary, interviewers don't know what the final answer is, or whether all requirements were addressed or not. So overall, in interviews, the structure is a signal of seniority. Strong candidate frame the problem, explain it step by step, and end with a clear summary. So that's the focus a senior developer should have. Let's move to the next slide. Expected answer structure. So here we are going to discuss about now what should be the approach. Just through this slide, I wanted to move from problem to the solution mindset. Like what should be the approach of a candidate for giving the answer. This is the answer structure most people are subconscious looking for. You don't need to be perfect, but you must be structured. Clarify assumptions. This is the first point. Before answering any query that interviewer had asked you, just clarify the assumptions, like what JVM version, it's a single service or distributed system, scale and traffic expectations. This shows you think before you answer, like a senior engineer. The kind if I just give you an example, you should give your high level approach, not just code or API, just high level approach, how you plan to solve, what are the barriers you are going to take care in this solution. So discuss this on high level. This allows the interviewer to align with your direction early. Interviewer also thinks around this is the way candidate is going with their thinking. So interviewer also able to understand that thing. So please clarify your assumptions. Then explain your approach with the assumption that you are making or whatever the clarification interviewer had given. Then accordingly share your approach. Third is then deep dive. Only after alignment do you go for the deep dive. This is where you talk about internal edge cases, concurrency, performance. Depth without structure feels random. Depth with structure feels impressive.